Watch this. Bango. And there he is. I'm sure you can all hear me now. Yeah, I was genius there. So, pardon me, just one moment. Pardon me as I take care of something rather important. Bear with me. Go again. All right, that's enough of that. That's just silliness. As fun as it is. Impromptu re-intro. Thanks for letting me know I had no sound. Yeah, I should have seen that. I had to unplug the whole system. I took it with me down to visit my grandmother the other night, and I was trying to work on some stuff down there, but there's no internet, so or very limited internet connection. Very, very limited. Yeah, thanks for everybody who was texting me about that. I finally saw it because I was back in the chat trying to see who was all here and missed that entirely. I'm awesome. I can hear me, but you couldn't hear me. And now you can hear dogs having a wonderful time upstairs. Always a blessing to have dogs roughing at you or at something up there. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I got it. It's an itch. This is a nose itch, not a pick, just so we're clear. And that'll happen. Yeah, I gotta reduce the inhalation of chemical substances. That's what that is. According to some of you, it's not the case, but if you want to pretend, that's fine by me. Any rate, so good morning. Let's backtrack. This is so funny. Gotta love live streaming because you never know what's going to happen. And it plays right into what I'm talking about today. I think that was actually divinely inspired. By the way, drinking from the only of ugly, how would I say that? The ugliest of all the mugs of the bears, the only true ugly mug that any bear can use. It is bearified as the Pinder's ugly mug on war, or in war right now with the handsome mug. Go check out Field of Bears channel and you'll see a great battle between the two that was captured by our dear Kodiak. And by the way, I was saying it to you when no one could hear me. Congratulations to Kodiak. He's getting to go out there and be flown out via Big Bear to go see the Phoenix show, which I think is fan-flipping-tastic. That is awesome. I'm very excited for you, man. I was like almost cheering when I heard him say that the other day. I was like, dude, that's legit. That's bears looking out for bears. Yeah, very excited for you, dude. Well, yeah, I don't think I have the time to go. It's not so much about whether or not I can afford it. I can't afford to go to any shows, let alone Phoenix. But no, I don't even have the time to get out right now. I can't make the schedule work yet. I'd like to one of these days go to a Big Bear show, and perhaps someday I will. But let's just say it's a little lower on the priority list, as I have to go kill it. You know, I have stuff I have to accomplish. And no, that was not an allusion to me being a professional hitman or anything like that. By going and killing it, I mean winning a living for my family in a non-murderous fashion. I am Matty R. Yes, I am still in the service on the National Guard side. No, I'm not doing border protection. If so, no one's told me. They need a lot of chaplain assistance down there right now, obviously. Yeah, that's my wheelhouse at this point. I'm kidding. I know nothing about anything. I haven't heard a dime about that, so I'd probably be one of the absolute... I mean, if they called me for that, it's bad. You got to know things are bad when they call me, so I went to Nasty Girls. I missed that comment. No. Let's see here. That's right. That's right. You know it. Gotta get in there and kick your son up to speed. Gotta continue on the drum training track. Yes, I am a drum teacher. I am a bass teacher, piano teacher, and guitar teacher. I teach the fundamentals of music theory as well in private courses, or you can get a group together, and then your individual price is a little bit lowered. So usually I do $22 for the half hour online, and I can also do $40 for the hour if you do those kind of sessions. But if you'd like to have a good 90-minute session and you can get together about, 10 people, you can get yourself a pretty darn good price on that kind of thing. So, kick ya, I understand. I was joking with Steve last night. You know, he needed to get his son started up to his chagrin, right? Oh, how dangerous that would be. Yeah, so definitely Pinder's Ugly Mug and Field of Bear's Handsome Mug. You need to check those out at respectively teespring.com/Pinder's Ugly Mug and redbubble.com/people/ I can't see the rest of that link. I don't know what it says. I believe it says a thing with stuff, so that'll be something. Do you need some alcohol in that ugly mug? I can't say I blame you. And Andrew Bergen does trumpet lessons. He's a fantastic trumpet player. He may not always think so, but he definitely is. He's humble about it. Let's put it that way. Last Moomin. You need to check out Last Moomin. I'm going to have to stick a Moomin link in the bear support because he just put out a great rendition of how they rule ya. It was excellent. It was definitely Moomin style, and I liked it. It was very indicative of what Moomin's about. So go in the Last Moomin's YouTube channel. Check out that sometime today. Oh, you're kidding. That's right. I knew that. But it still sounds funny, you know. Kick you. Guys are cracking me up today. Yeah. So thanks for bearing with me through the unbearable beginning to this. It's totally an unbearable style beginning to today's show. Highly professional. And the title of today's show is, of course, Sempre Gumby. Right. Some of you may get that. Some of you may not. In the Marines, they have a phrase they say a lot, Semper Fi, which is short for Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Sempre Gumby is kind of a takeoff on that, meaning always flexible. And that is something we've joked about in the military branches often, because we are always told to remain flexible. Plans change. Plans repeatedly change. We set up ideas, and then unexpected happenstances come to pass that change our plans, and things don't happen the way we intended them to. So some people like to remedy this by just not planning whatsoever. And I can tell you from experience, it's not a great idea, because I try to do this often. Not having much of a plan is hurry up and wait, adapt, and overcome. You're right. Those are other great militaristic phrases that we're often exposed to when you're in the service. Excuse me. Yes, coffee was necessary. So the Semper Gumby concept is something I think I've thought about a little bit more recently. I have a deep desire to grow as a person and develop the ability to be more reliable, to have more consistency, right? In everything I'm doing throughout the day. And in doing so, it's absolutely desirable for me to develop more of a routine. So that I keep finding to be more and more difficult. Hang on one second. I find it more and more difficult. Just needed to grab something here. As I move forward, because stuff comes up that I'm not anticipating. I don't have an element within my plan to help absorb those kind of things, except to just prioritize, right? Just do what I got to do, which is sort of a plan in and of itself, a loose one, but a plan. And some plan, even if it's terrible, is better than no plan, right? At least having some intention behind what you're trying to do is better than not, because if you make a plan, then at least you can adjust fire and say, well, that didn't work. Now I can tweak it. Now I can say, well, let me fix the parts that didn't work, and now it's getting more efficient. You're able to hone in more specifically on where you need to make adjustments and just make those. Don't just go scorched earth, so to speak, and get rid of the whole plan. Unless the whole plan is really, really, really bad, then yeah, okay, create a whole brand new plan. But start somewhere. Start with something. And it can be a frustrating exercise because plans do change. And that's the nature of plans. So I've been noticing that more and more. I've had a plan for a while of trying to do a show in the morning. And I keep trying to shoot for a specific time. And often that will get pushed back later and later and later. However, I force it back toward where I want to be at. Around 9 o'clock is kind of the time I'm shooting for. So as often as I'm able, I keep trying to push it, nudge it back that direction, right? But things will interrupt that. Other priorities that need to happen. And I'm happy to take care of those things. Happy to go do those. I went down to visit my grandmother, Gita wanted to say hello. She's just making herself known right now. But she's not abused in the least. She just is very vocal. So we may continue to hear her objections to my non-attention for the minute. My grandmother needed some care, and so I went down to spend some time with her, both on Monday and on Thursday. I was up there, or down there rather. And so that was an alteration to my plans. I made adjustments, but I was still able to get quite a bit done that I would normally do. So that's an example in just recent past of how plans change. This morning, my lovely lady was, I think, a lot more tired from different events that had gone on recently. And I'd made a mistake, and I'd kind of gotten up at one point, and I hit the off button on the alarm. And so it didn't go back off to help her wake up later. I kind of woke up and was doing different things, but, I kind of interrupted the flow for her plans, so that was something she wasn't expecting to have happen because she was kind of depending on that to help her get up at a better time, And so we just had to adjust fire. We still made things work. She's still off on her way to do her day. We just had to compact things or to get certain things done later. But we can get in the way of our own plans, certainly. I can get in the way of your plans and vice versa. But then unexpected events that are out of our control can get in the way of our plans as well. So what do you do with that? I think is the bigger thing I'm trying to think about today. And if you start with the perspective that this is just the nature of existence, that you need to be adaptable, you need to be flexible to these changes, then you look at it as you can look at it as an opportunity, right? You can look at it as a conduit toward different solutions to your issues, right? When you have a shift in your circumstances, when it's not always exactly as you're expecting in the routine, then it forces you to have to think. It forces you to have to restructure how you're going to approach it. And maybe in that process, you figure out some things that could work better to make your original schedule better. If it's always like, oh, I've got my routine just so I've got everything nice and neat, and you're not as good at adapting to change, then when it does come, because it will, you're going to be less prepared to deal with it. So I have a lot of variability. I have a lot of different details that happen. I can remember when I was going back to school trying to get my music associates, and I remember that it was particularly difficult because I'd try to set a schedule, try to get things done for classes in a fairly routine way, and that would change on me a lot. I'd say, oh, this week I'm gonna make sure I'm sitting down to take care of this class or the assignments for this class at this time. Spend this amount of time, and then just different life events continued to happen. Or I'd be a factor in that whole process as well. When I carve that time out, that's what I would say. When I carve that time out, then I sit down and my speed at getting done what I needed to get done was not as quick as it had been other times. Maybe the nature of the assignment wasn't coming to me right away. I wasn't able to organize my thoughts on this particular one as easily as another one. So it was just taking me longer. And then I'd have to stop at a certain point because there were other things that came up, other responsibilities that I'd have to deal with. So I have a life where I deal with a high degree of variability a lot of times. And I've learned from early on in my adult life that that's how life will often be, especially for me. And in some ways I thrive on it. I look forward to a high degree of variability, but it's also exhausting. It's also very tiring the older I get. So I crave routine more and more and more. I do look forward to that. And I've learned how to say no to certain things when I need to. There are opportunities to go out and just hang out with somebody on a whim, do something cool. And there are times where I say, I just can't do that. That is, as fun as it might be, it's also going to cost me. It's going to be an energy drain. So I have to say no, because I need to have this energy for this stuff later. I have to start thinking about how one simple choice, as much fun as it might be, is going to affect me later, and say, well, I can't do that now. I have to put that kind of thing aside. Even if somebody else is, hurt by like, oh, I thought we were going to hang out, man, or something like that. It's like, it's nothing personal. I just can't do it, and this is just kind of like hypothetical. This is an example of that sort of thing, but maybe it's something entirely different for you. Maybe it's, some other, a lot of times it's the social activities, with other people that go by the wayside. But I make it a point to do things like that when I can. I try to set aside specific time to see if I can do that kind of thing. That's the thing. If it's on a whim, if it's on like a last minute kind of deal, I try not to give into that too often, because I know I have to reserve that energy for other stuff. If it's a paying gig, that might be different, because, that's playing right into one of my other responsibilities. But even those, I have to be very particular about. And I've turned down paying gigs before, or potentially paying gigs, because I already had it slated that this was going to be a time for family. There was a time that I had carved out and said, no, I need to reserve that time, and I can't always do that. There's going to be cases where, like, I do have to make the choice to say, no, I need to do the job, I need to, right now I'm in a position where I have to work on this kind of thing or that thing. And I want to get to a point where that's not the case, where I can plan ahead and say, no, this is, I'm going to work when I decide ahead of time that I'm going to work. I'm going to have this job, or whatever it be, this gig, planned out, and if that means I've got to sacrifice a little bit of time in the long term, the benefits for the family in the long term are better, so I can make those kind of choices by really stepping back and looking, and making certain kind of decisions ahead of time. Like, this is what the priority is. This is what's important. So not just taking little, here or there last minute. Oh, hey, come on up here and do this thing. And we'll only pay you, about 75% to 50% of whatever it is you ought to make on something like that. Money isn't like my main motivator. I am motivated by it to a degree, because I want to make sure that my family's well taken care of, but I'm endeavoring to make that not a factor for me as much as it can be humanly possible. And I think it's good for all of us to work toward a point where that's less of a motivational factor for you, and you're doing what you're doing because of the purpose that it serves, right? It'd be nice if we could all just, focus on, well, I just want to do what I want to do on principle. That's kind of a pipe dream, but it's not really. It's an attainable thing, I believe. And like Big Bear's gotten to a point like that where he can say, I don't have a price in a sense for some things. Like, you could offer me whatever you want, and there's some stuff I'm just not going to do, period. And I still feel that way, right? There's certain stuff where it's like, even if they offered me plenty of money, it would feed my family, I'd be like, not for that, not for what it's going to cost me in other areas. A Big Drum Bear website is in the future. That is something that we're going to see relatively soon. And you know what? Maybe I will talk to you, Matty R. You never know. Bears are kind of awesome. Okay, that was in response to Kick Ya. Oh my goodness, Kick Ya says, I have a price on Dom's wrench. I could tempt you. That's so funny. Oh man. Love it. So one of the motivational factors for me to come here every morning is that stuff right there. Oh my goodness, I love you guys. So funny. See, it's basically like, I come out here to share thoughts. I come out here to share perspectives in my life and hope that it's useful to you. And then a big part of what motivates me to keep going is that I get to come here and get free entertainment from all of you that come and hang out and watch the deal and then listen. Yes, I come here for the Dom abuse. That's my primary motivation for doing a show. Who's going to make fun of Dom today? How are they going to dig into him? How are they going to threaten his wrench be taken? Offering me money. I love it. Oh, man. I think that there just needs to be like a, they have this channel that I pointed out to some of you just recently. We the Internet is a YouTube channel. You follow them at We the Internet TV on Twitter. And they're pretty flippin' hilarious. They're super funny, guys. In fact, they just posted, this is an aside, I'm going to get back to my point. Don't let me forget I was going somewhere with this, about Dom and wrenches. But they just posted a clip the other day that was in response to a bunch of different videos that they've done recently. And people would put comments like, it was like parody stuff that they were doing. Somebody'd come up and seemed like they were some sort of a music artist, or I can't remember some of the other different things that they had people doing that were just ridiculous caricatures, that wouldn't actually happen. They were just fake. And people were writing comments as if this was a real person, as if they were responding to the character in the comedy bit as if they were an actual person and not getting the joke, not seeing the satire. And they were basically that we, the Internet folks, were taking a time out to say, I want to address some of these comments. Let's help you with this. When we do such and such, this is not us actually advocating any of that. It's called satire. It's a form of humor. And we're starting to realize maybe some of you are not getting the joke. This is entirely possibly the case here. Or it's entirely possible that is the case. That sounds like a less whack job way to say that, but only mildly. So it was just hilarious to me that they actually were trolling the people who didn't get the joke while they're trying to help explain to them that they didn't get the joke, but they're trolling in such a gentle way, and that the people may not even get the fact that they're being trolled. That's the best part to me. But hopefully somebody can get this, somebody can get it in their head. Like hopefully they could find a way to actually train people to better understand comedy and its purpose. Like if there was a 101 class for like far lefty trained kids, you know, or like, you know, young adults, getting into college, whatever it be, a one-on-one class on like how to understand comedic devices and tell the difference between satire and reality might be funny. Might be very funny to see that in place. But it'd be great because then like people that don't get jokes might be able to get jokes and laugh and have a better life. Like I can see a huge practical purpose in that. Training young people to better understand comedy and how it's being used might be huge. And maybe we could reduce the trigger levels of folks so that there's more resistance to triggering in people, because that's only going to be better for them. Trigger inoculation. That's a thought. I wonder if we could meme that or do something with that. Trigger inoculation. Anyway, just thinking. Yes. Well, I was tormented. As a kid, Kick You. So I totally think I'm coming back to that. I'll explain in a minute. Because this, I think, pulls right into my Sempre Gumby concept. Okay, so, excuse me, ears itching a little bit there. And there's a Gita who's just beside herself because I'm talking and I'm not addressing her. But she's perfectly fine. I agree trigger warnings are for the weak, Andrew, and that's why I think we need to inoculate folks to triggers. We need some different training courses or something out there to help them with this. So at any rate, let me get back to the Dom thing. It would be so funny if we had like a channel or something, like kind of like Unbearable News Network. Gita, I'm going to spiral. I love you. I might bring you down here, but then what does that teach you? Gita, does it teach you to be a happier dog, or does it teach you to be a pampered dog? And what's the word I'm looking for? An entitled dog. Gita, am I helping you to become an SJW puppy? I mean, you're already on the spectrum, so that's not in your favor, you know, for moving forward. And I say that with love, by the way. I love people that are on the autistic spectrum completely. However, when my dog shows, when she shows examples of that kind of behavior, knowing that she's capable of otherwise, I might have to have conversations with her. Gita, I think you should go upstairs and play with Chunk, and I think you'll be a happier dog. You will. You really will, Gita. Don't you think so? Don't you think you'd be a happier dog if you went to play with Chunk and didn't whine? I think that I would advocate for your happiness in finding purpose in your life. Being flexible, one might say. You don't agree? Well, I tell you what. I guess I'm going to give in just temporarily, and then I'm going to send you on your way. Hang on. Come here. You wait. We're not going to do it. Nope, not everybody. Just the Gita. Nope. Just wait. I can't do all three at once. That's just going to be chaotic. Come here, Gita. All right. You come over here, and we'll talk to the people. No, come here, baby. Come have a seat. All right. Now, up in the lap. Come here. Here, flip around. I'll get you. Oh, you're a big dog. Here. All right. Let's talk. Yes. I know. You love me. It's one. So, yeah. Talk to the microphone. There you go. Now, let's ask some questions. Let's ask you some questions with the people. So, do you think that it's good to expect that whenever you whine, Dad should come and get you and bring you down? Is that what you expect? Do you think that that's good for you? Or, Gita, do you think it might be better if I helped you to realize that even when, you know, it's not always the most pleasant, you can still be happy? Yeah, exactly, yeah. Do you think it'd be a good idea to have like a breath freshening treat once in a while, maybe, before you lick me in the face? I think it would be. I mean, that's just my opinion. But what do you think? What do you think about it? Do you have thoughts? Is there anything going on up there? Not so much? I know what you're thinking about. You're probably thinking about that you want Dad to give you a treat. That you want Dad to give you some kind of thing to chew on later, don't you? Yeah, you probably think that. Well, I love you too. I'm glad we had this talk. I'm glad we were able to share thoughts. And I hope, you see, when Gita sleeps on the couch, she will bend in the shape of a letter J. Like, she'll bend her head backwards and just like go all over the place. So she is Sempre Gumby. Continually, right? A shekel. Yeah, we'll get Gita some ice. Should be Gita G Dog. Sup? She's 3/4 black Gita. I was really considering calling her 3/4 black Gita because most of her body is, and I thought it would be appropriate. Send a meme to Crowder's folks. She's going to be my new my producer, right? 3/4 black Gita producing in studio with us today, and then of course Chunk Guevara, always ready to go. All right, I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate your insight. You're a good dog. You really are. Here, sit. Can you sit? Show me sit. No? Not going to do it? You're busy looking? Sometimes you're really well trained. Other times you make me wonder what goes on in that head. She's also the most talkative of all the dogs I own. Yes, 3/4 black Gita, 1/4 brown. Oh, yes, you're a good dog. It's true. She does love her dad and her mom. She's a sweet girl. Yeah, don't forget that Chunk Guevara shirt. It is available. And by the way, thanks to, I believe it was Big Riggin who bought himself one. I could be wrong. But I believe somebody got up in there and started the campaign. You got about 13 more days. The campaign is open. And it's continuing the previous campaign. So there's no minimum, right? We don't need to hit a minimum at this point. I can't change the pricing in it until I create a whole brand new campaign. In fact, the next campaign I do is going to be like stickers or something cool like that, a little bit cheaper. You know, something that's only a few dollars to produce. So more people could get in on it. And then, I know I've been talking about it for a while, but we can buy a second or third shirt. Yes, actually you can. Of any of the colors available, go right ahead. If you're in the market for it, you don't have to ask. You are more than welcome to get as many as you like. It makes a great gift for Thanksgiving time frame, or maybe even the end of the year. For those of you who like the Christmas season gift getting and all that jazz, hey, do your thing if you so desire, you know, if that's what you want to use it for. But it's just open. I would say only for another 13 days. So use your time wisely. Now, as I was saying, it would be hilarious to have a comedy channel or something all about how Dom just can't get a wrench, you know, or how much he wants a wrench. It could be a hilarious series of bits that could be made available, like unbearable Dom comedy, or so, I don't know. It could be unbearable wrenchless comedy. I'm not sure. Something to do with wrenches and Dom and not getting them, or paying people to take his wrench away. Just having skit after skit about that, or him watching his Owen streams, or hanging with bears, and yeah, I could see a whole franchise built off this, you know. By the way, if you're looking, Freedom Tough Stuff is available. Actually, no, I think it's not Freedom Tough Stuff anymore. It's what's in my description that Dom's got? I might have forgotten. I have to look. The Young and the Wrenchless gear. Yes, that's what we could call it. It could be Dom's thing. I'd love to see that done. Yes. It's so genius. It's so perfect. I'm like, why haven't we started on this? Probably because we all have jobs and we have to be flexible because we have other things going on. We have other work to do. We have families to take care of, and dogs to whine at us and be Spectrum-like. You know, Gita, I do have a piece of candy in my pocket, but it is not for dogs. It is not meant for you. I've got my drawers from yesterday that I had hung up because I only wore them one day. They're still good pants. And she was sniffing in the pocket. I think she knows that I have a piece of Twizzlers Poland peel still in the wrapper in my pocket. Spanish dub version. Oh, that has to happen. Just period. Make it happen. Like, if you need music, whatever you need, I'm gonna make it a part of it. I don't care. Yeah, TV novella. It's got to be done. It'd be amazing if we could get Owen to do a little bit. He could even record it from his own place. Just single shots of him wearing a mustache. And he comes in there and he's saying, Dom, you are no more having the wrenches. The wrenches, vaminos. No wrench for you. And by the way, I'm having your baby. Your little niño. It is my niño. That is right. Amy is jealous now. We are speaking our language, and I am not even having our niños. I'm having your niños. Oh, dumb. And you don't even get the wrenches from me. How rotten is this? I'm writing the script right now. Oh, it would be fantastic. Oh, the big bear must know that the young and the wrenchless must happen, see? And you must have the only Banderas voice the entire time. Perhaps Amy could retreat to her native tongue, eh? And to come in and do some acting on the side. She could be Sujan Lucci's character, only less of an obnoxious, how you say, a wrench? No, that is not the term, but it is close. Yes. Anyway, on to other things. I'm sure Kodiak will try to clip that one. So, being flexible. What could we do? What could we be doing? We need to, there we go. So, yeah, kids getting teased when they're younger. I understood this with greater depth than one ought to, perhaps. I was definitely an awkward guy. I don't think that's changed entirely that much. And let's see here. So when I was a kid, I was particularly awkward in a lot different way. The confidence level was next to nothing back then. Excuse me. When I started in public school, it didn't take long for my uniqueness to kind of stand out and make me a target for others. This sniff noise that I do now, I've been doing since I was young. And at times the sinus issues were so intense that I would have expulsions of mucus, in a way that engendered more ridicule toward me. It wasn't pretty by any means, the ridicule nor the mucus, but I endured many years of kids not understanding that, and me working through the process of how I would integrate appropriately into different social situations. It wasn't very clear to me how I would do that, but I kept trying. I kept giving it a shot, usually in the wrong ways, inviting more non-pleasant attention. But over the years, that changed. Sometimes it got physically abusive, in different ways. Booger Kid was a famous nickname I received in my younger years, but plenty others were to follow. And eventually, I think one of the biggest moments in my life that made a difference was, and I think I've talked about this before, there was a group of kids that were ganging up on me at the end of school one day, and I was listening to music, a CD that I had on the computer in headphones. Nobody else could hear it, but I was using one of the computers in homeroom. I'd had a chance finally to do that. I'd been looking forward to it, waiting until the buses showed up. And I'm minding my own business. 4 kids come up behind me, 4 or 5, and they're all hitting the reset button on the computer, right? They come up, and they hit the reset button, they run away. Cowardly run away. It's so funny as I think back to it. And this was just kind of like the last straw. I was about done. I went Milton, almost. I didn't set the building on fire, but I was on fire in a sense. I went after the last kid that came behind me to do it. Some kid named Garrett was his name, and I remember this guy. He was a good dude. He was a great tenor sax player. He actually had a pretty darn good handle on that, and he was a good singer as well in the choir. Neat kid, but yeah, he felt compelled to do these things, and I get it. We're all young. We're not very smart at that age. I wasn't either. So they ran out. They were doing this. He was the last one, and he was my target. As I turned around, he was the one I saw. I locked in on him, and I just hurled myself at him. And I was this like 150-pound kid soaking wet, but I had a little more upper body strength than the average kids. I'd been throwing shot put in 6th grade, so I had the confidence from doing track and field stuff. But I just went full force at this kid. I just started pummeling him, in the back of the head or in the neck. I can't remember. I didn't hurt him. It's like paper, but paper velocity punches there. But no, I was wailing on him a little bit, and of course they pulled us apart. He wasn't engaging back at me. He didn't put up any fight because I think I freaked him out. He'd never expected I was going to go like that on him, and we went to the principal's office. I was totally ashamed. I was like, I can't believe I went there and did that, and I was upset by it. But he took full responsibility for the whole incident. He was telling the principal, it's like, this was my fault. I teased him. I pushed him to that point. I was like, just, wow, that happened, right? And I could barely even speak. I was too distraught at that point. But that guy and I never really had many problems after that. Almost ever. We got along pretty decently in the future. I was still kind of awkward, but he wasn't quite as much of a pain in the sphincter. And I learned a whole lot about myself through that incident. I think there was one other incident I had with another kid where he was just really pushing my buttons and I was just done with it. And I said, this has worked out a particular way before. I was saying that to myself. And I ended up responding that way. It didn't go too far, but I said, this is going to stop. You're not going to mess with me. I said to myself, that's what I was going to do. I didn't say that to him, I think, but I responded physically. And thankfully, this didn't become a habit for me. Pain in the sphincter. Thankfully, this didn't become a habit, and I didn't resort to this regularly as time went forward. But people needed to know that I could. I think people needed to know that it could, and it was like back in the day where it wasn't like, you had to worry that a kid was going to do something worse. This was long before Columbine. Or something like that. And so there was I don't think there was any worry when this went down that was going to be the result of it. But it was such a good thing for him, for the kid Garrett. And then this other guy I knew, Eric, wish I could figure out what happened to him because he was such a cool dude. He's such an amazing artist too. Really like that guy. Both of those guys were pretty cool. They got cooler as they got older. They got a lot cooler. They figured some things out. And yeah, I learned a lot about myself in that process and how I could be me and be functional, be successful in life, and not base my self-worth on how other people related to me. He took my bike. Well, he wasn't quite the same appearance of the Eric that we all know and love. Very different from Eric Nimmer, who, by the way, rocked Crowder last night. I didn't get to see all of it, but I know he was back on there. I need to check that out. Old Nimmer rocking third seat on live stream with the Crowder folks last night again. Excuse me. So, yeah. No, I didn't take my bike, but that Eric was, he and I weren't getting on. I think at one point during like the 8th grade school lock-in we had at the Landmark complex in Peoria. And I was less than satisfied at that time. But it was good. I learned a lot about how I could be independent of other people's opinions of me. And that's vital. I think that's really important. That kind of stuff allows you to weather not just your interactions with other people, but situations that you encounter that don't work out the way they were originally expected to. When you can encounter difficulty in life, stressful situations like that, and then come out the other side of them and take a look at yourself and say, I'm actually okay. And I'm actually better off than I was before. I'm now stronger. It's a mental workout. You have to have your mind and your emotions engaged in that whole thing. I kind of link those two together. The heart is really the emotional side of that. Those things have to be worked out just as much as your physical side does. Otherwise, you don't know how to adjust to sudden changes. You don't know how to think on your feet as well. You can learn, but you have to, I think, not run away from opportunities to practice. Not run away from opportunities to be emboldened, right? Andrew and I were talking a little bit a couple nights ago, and Andrew, I'm not going to go into deep detail here, man, if you're still listening, but Andrew Birkin and I were chatting for a little bit. He and I both have to do a physical fitness test at times, to keep up. It's just one of the requirements with our gig. And he and I were talking a little bit about that, and I was sharing some of my experiences in dealing with it when I was in the active military years ago, and even in the National Guard that I deal with now. So the way I approach doing some of that, I still have struggles with it after 17 years. I still have to work on keeping up with it. And it's painful to force yourself to do it, to get into there and keep your different areas that you get tested in up to snuff, right? And your body wants to cooperate less and less, especially after you pass 30, right? That's really where I started experiencing more trouble. Like, I used to be at a point where I didn't have to do much until about a month before. I could be doing things from time to time, but I didn't have to do a whole lot to get ready for a fitness test. And I could still do more than respectable. I could get it close to around 12 minutes for a mile and a half. And that's still in the 90 percentile range, right? I remember doing my best time was when I did it on my own was like 10:30 or 10:20, I think. And that's blazing. That's super fast. I think that's Chunk whining. I might bring him down here in a minute. He's thinking, see, I let one dog down here because they were whining, and now Chunk thinks he's going to get the same treatment. See, now I'm torn. Do I just let him come down and teach him, hey, you want something, just start whining at Dad when he's in the middle of a show. And of course, he's going to tweak it's not only going to tweak Dad's heart, it's going to tweak the hearts of the viewers. And they're going to compel him. Because I know you guys are going to be, come on, you got to let Chunk down. How can I not do it, right? I'll have to occupy them otherwise in future. But Chunk is love. Yes, it's true. Kick ya. It's fixing to happen. I'm going to switch him out. And Gita's going to go up and whine, right? So hang on. Besides, you all want to see Chunk. You know you do. All right, kid, you got to go back upstairs. It's Chunk's turn. All right, switch out. And then, not yet. No, one at a time. No Gerbies, just Chunks. No Gerbies. Go upstairs, Keith. Go. There you go. All right, come say hi to the people. They want to see your new collar here. Come here, buddy. Come here, man. All right, pop up. Come on, up. We got to come up here. They can't see you down there. Come on. Hey. Let me move this mic over a little bit. Come here, I got to show you. You smell interesting. No, come here. Come on, sit with Daddy. Come here. Now, if you see his neck, Dawn had to take the clippers and go around because his neck is all got rashy stuff still around it. He got that irritation thing going on his skin recently, but he's such a good boy. He's a good puppy dog.
He said, I like to see people. I like to play with you, Dad, and do so. And he's like, he to come on, but not me. And what the heck is that? Why you let the one dog on, but not the other dog? I'm nice. I'm not Hopper. I just talk like a little bit. I think Hopper stole it from me. I mean, let's be honest. Okay, I guess Hopper's older. He's been doing his voice since before I was born, but that's beside the point. I'm still Chunk. You still love your therapy dog. Right, Dad? Here, come on up. You want to sit in my lap? No.
He's a good boy. He's a good puppy dog. Had to make an appearance. And I have promised that we'll do more chunks as time goes forward. In fact, there's some chunk skits that ought to be coming up soon. Maybe a chunk could also be present in the Wrench novella. The Young and the Wrenchless. He will be the Young and the Colorless because he is not having his blue collar to go around his neck while he has the rashes. Yes, perhaps Big Bear could be on the screen with his mustache, and he could be there talking with the George, and the Hopper, and the Chunk, the three of them. He could not decide who he loves the most. Of course, we all know he loved the George the best, but Hopper's close second and doesn't even know Chunk. So come on, we know the reality. But this is not reality. This is the Wrench novella. He would be torn between the three dogs that are beautiful dogs. They are male dogs, and he is in love with the male dogs. This is beginning to get a little bizarre, yes? Chunk, how would you feel about being on a bear show with the Big Bear someday? Or even just the Dom, and which is not a just, it's a good thing. Wait, that sounded like an insult. I'm sorry. I can't even get out of the voice now. I do that with some voices sometimes when I practice. Like sometimes I'll be doing, for a while there, I was listening to a lot of Peterson, right? That was happening a lot. And then, of course, he opened his yapper at 2 a.m. on Twitter, and then he backpedaled, and then he backpedaled some more, and then he tried to, get a new suit, and then he tried to get his forward written in the 50th anniversary of Gulag Archipelago. And, hey, cool, do your thing. Hey, Kodiak, peace, brother. Enjoy Phoenix. Glad you came. But yeah, I was listening to a lot of Peterson for a while. And I'll still listen to some of the old Peterson. I even recommend it to some people because there's a lot of useful stuff there. But, I'll let them discover the reality. Don't get too much into the person, more into the message, I think I still got a little bit of a burn in that one for me too when I think about it. I wasn't going as full father figure mindset as Big Bear did about him, but yeah, that gets on me a little bit, and I've had to be flexible with that too, But hey, pieces, Andrew J. Glad you could come in. Yeah, it is getting later, guys. It's about 11, so I'm probably going to wrap up a little early, but. Yeah, I had been listening to a lot of that, and then I started to get the A's. I started to get the Canadian bent to my own voice times. Dawn and I'd be reading the Bible, and I'd put an E in the middle of a sentence, like unconsciously, or something similar to that, like a tone, like very Canadian Kermit the Frogian lilt to my voice. Right, Chunk? You know all about that. He was there. He heard it. He knew what was going on. Hey, Boulder. Glad you're lurking. Glad you're here. Yeah, good dog. Did you want to go back upstairs? Did you want to go upstairs with Gita and Gurby? You want to go upstairs? You want Gurby to have a turn? She hasn't been down here. Hang on. One more dog. Gurby's turn. Gurby's turn. You stay up. Nope. Go on up. Go on, Chunk. Get up. Here, Gurby. Come on. You can finish out the show with me. Come here, baby. You can sit in my lap. No, come here. We're not going in the bedroom. That's not why I brought you down here. They always think when they come downstairs it's time to go to bed. Come here, baby. Up. All the way up. You got to climb in my lap. They can only see your nose. Come on. All the way up. Up. Come on. Oh, dog. Good puppy. Here we go. There's the Gumby. Hang on. I got to put my headphones on. Okay. So, she does this too a lot. When I've got her in my lap, she'll put her head all the way up and look at something. I don't know what she's looking at. But, yeah. You never know how stuff's going to go. You don't know what to expect in life. It's just logical. It doesn't make sense to expect everything. Unless, of course, you're Sherlock Holmes. Even he can't expect the Jews. So it's like everybody's got something, you know. You just can't expect it all. You might as well roll with it. You might as well like enjoy what kind of cool stuff you get to learn in the midst of unexpected stuff happening. And I've had plenty of opportunity to learn that life is not only unexpected, but unkind and unfair a lot. And I'm not bitter about it. I'm excited because I know there's a ton of awesomeness still there, right? If we get too linked on our own plans, then it's almost a form of pride. It's a form of haughtiness. When we think things should be going the way that they should, and we're really upset when they don't, it really is an expression of arrogance in a way, because where would we get off thinking that what we designed to happen is what should happen and what will happen all the time? That's totally unreasonable. So the more that we are preparing ourselves to expect that reality is what's going to happen and we're prepared to deal with it, we're engaging our sense of creativity to think of, okay, the situation's likely to change. The situation that I have set up is likely not going to happen the way I intended for it to happen. How can I plan to be prepared to shift on my feet, you know, and maybe have some contingency options, but even those may not work. So you might have to go to plan Z, you know, plan, maybe not plan Z, but some other kind of plan, right? Plan A, B, C, D, all the rest fail. Have something, you know, that you're ready to do, where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. Think about the constituent elements of what has to happen in a day's time or for a particular activity that you're working on, right? Particular thing that you have to get done. Think about the basic parts of what has to happen. And the more you understand those, the more you can see like, oh, well, this, and this could help facilitate that thing, right? I could make it happen in this way. Something, whatever comes up that you've got to take care of. Now, the other stuff that had to get done before isn't going to work out the same. We're like, well, okay, what actually has to happen with that thing? What's the basics of that thing that has to get done? Does it have to get done in that way at that time? Sometimes the answer is going to be yes. A lot of the times it's going to be no. There are going to be other ways you can work that out. So it all goes back to breaking things down to their constituent elements. If you think about the stuff you've got to do in its basic parts, like just at the most rudimentary ways, what has to happen for this thing? Okay, that. So what are some different ways that same thing can happen? Think about it in small ways. Like, I have to get from A to B. How many different ways can I get from A to B, right? It doesn't have to happen all in the same way. I don't always have to take the same route. You shouldn't. You should be varying routes. That's just a wise kind of thing. So people can't necessarily predict what you're going to do every day. Vary up your ways of going about your routines and stuff. Routines are good, but it's also good to be in the routine of changing it up, right? Making unpredictability part of your routine. It's a good thing because it engages your brain. It keeps those that would wish you harm at bay a little bit more. Hopefully there's not that many of them out there, but you never know these days. Right, Gumby? She's just like, I'm not even here. Yeah, I'm not paying attention to this business. I'm not gonna. Her licking sounds are very audible in this mic. She's a good puppy. She knows it. Well, I'm sure Big Bear's going to stream at some point here, so I'll probably get out of the way. Yeah, exactly. Go read Psalm 2. Whenever you think you've got good plans in mind, or whenever you think somebody else who's against you has good plans in mind that they're going to carry out against you, go read Psalm 2 and see what he has to say about that. Right? His plans are the ones that are going to work out anyway, so it doesn't mean don't plan. Definitely plan. You need to try and do that, but don't be so haughty to think that your first draft is what's going to go through. You wouldn't do that with a paper. Why would you think you'd do that with your plans in life? Life's far more variable than writing a paper. Yes, I have Glampin, and they're pretty awesome. I've done things similar to that, but I've still got to dig in deeper and like get very familiar with that method, that language, if you will, of getting all that stuff down. It's intense. It's good stuff. If you haven't checked out Bullet Journal, definitely check that out, because I remember when Glampin recommended that to me a while back. It's pretty awesome. Right, Gumby? What do you see up there? You see anything interesting? No, I'm just ignoring you, Dad. Parading me around on your show. Exploiting me because I'm small and you can pick me up. All right. So that's what I had to talk about today. And you got to see dogs. So I think all in all, the value was high on today's show. So until next time, engage your mind, engage your body, and engage your heart. Seek to serve the ultimate purpose. Peace, bears. Love you guys. Say bye, Gumby. Oh man, be flexible. You know, you're never gonna get it all perfect. This is normal. This isn't like out of the ordinary. I always screw this part up, but that's all right. It's funnier. Have fun, bears.